Hello and welcome everyone to yet another Red Cape Sports video. My name is Bird Bouchard. Along with me, you guys might know this guy. His YouTube channel is absolutely blowing up. Welcome to the channel, Les Alex.
What's up? What's up? Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm so excited to do this video. For those of you who don't know, Alex has actually been one of the real OG Red Cape Sports fans. Yeah. It seems like from day one. I remember I was doing like a mini live stream, and he just kept popping off hilarious comment after something to do with O.J. Simpson. But regardless, today we're going to be going over our top 5 young gun picks because for those of you who don't know, NHL playoffs, they should be popping off pretty soon.
Fingers crossed, hopefully, yeah.
So fingers crossed on that. I'm very optimistic. So regardless, we got our top 5 young gun picks. Alex came up with his own top 5. I came up with my top 5. I believe we do have some,
overlap
there, but nevertheless, that just means that it's a great pick. So the floor is yours, Alex.
Yeah, so getting things kicked off. I'm not sure how liked these first couple of picks are because I know that the Toronto Maple Leafs aren't so much, and correct me if I'm wrong, aren't so much liked in Canada unless you're in Toronto. But the first pick I'm going to have to go with, and these are all going to be players that are in the playoffs. Obviously, these are guys that could see a bump because of their playoff play. It's going to be William Nylander. William Nylander, obviously, got his card right here. I actually got several of them. I think I have 3. I accidentally ordered an extra one, but whatever. I'm perfectly fine with that because I think it is a good place to park your money. They're not too terribly expensive right now. And, I mean, just if him and, Matthews can bring a cup to Toronto, first off, I think, me and you, Bird, were talking about this a couple of days ago. That city's going to go wild.
I'm telling you, that city is going to burn down.
Oh, no.
I remember people talking about, I forget what year it was, but anyway, when they blew the 4-1 lead to the Bruins, and people were just going nuts, hoping that they'd at least advance to the second round.
Yeah.
That's been a long time. Like Matt Sundin era. Karen Fraser, sorry, but had to mention that. Hopefully I don't get disowned in the comments. But
right. Just going to have a bunch of thumbs downs.
But anyway, that's I personally believe that's a good pick. So for sure, William.
Yeah, he's
got the genetics too from his dad.
Yeah, that team's just, in my opinion, they are definitely moving in the right direction. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Blues fan through and through, but the Leafs look good. I mean, I know they finished not in the greatest way, but that kind of leads me in my next, or I guess you want to go. Yeah, you can do your 5th pick, I guess.
Well, let's just get it out of the way then. I also got cards with me too. Bam, boom, right off the bat. Willie Nylander.
Let's go, baby.
Maybe that'll be the thumbnail. Willie Nylander.
Yeah, there you
go. Another reason why I like it is, relatively speaking, it is pretty cheap. I did get it raw. I believe you can get like a PSA 10 for I think under 120 Canadian. Not sure what that translates to. Probably about 100 USD.
Yeah, $100 ish. Yeah.
Even raw, go ahead and take the chance. Like you said, you can get 3-4 of them for a pretty good price, and maybe you'll get a pretty good grade. But regardless, he's a guy who he can finish for sure, but he's also going to get a lot of assists, and
right.
Playmaking ability is severely undervalued. And like you said, the market there, right? Like you definitely
it's insane
have the market, and Toronto loves loves everything. And I mean, my first year at university, I went to university in Ottawa, and I'm telling you, there are many more Leafs fans than there are Sens fans in Ottawa. It's like you said, they're either the most beloved franchise in NHL,
or you hate them,
North America, or the most hated.
Right.
For the most part, they're loved, and we saw what the city of Toronto did when the Raptors won. But I'm telling you, hockey compared to basketball in Canada, it's night and day. So if the Leafs win a cup, he's going to definitely benefit in terms of his prices.
Yeah, and another thing I want to point out about him is he's a super balanced player. Like his goals to assist ratio are like super even, especially this season. They were almost identical. He had 31 goals, 28 assists. So that's, I mean, he was on pace to have probably close to 70-ish points before they stopped play. So I'm high on him. He's fun as hell to watch. Like the whole team, in my opinion, is just like really fun to watch. I know that's probably not the most popular opinion, but they're fun to watch. They really are.
Oh, for sure. So who's your second pick here?
So that leads me into my second pick, which he's a bit of an expensive pick, but it's Austin Matthews. I mean, we were talking about this again right before we hit the record button, but Austin Matthews, this is a PSA 10 I've got here, and it was not cheap, but if you compare him to other people in his skill level, so I'm thinking guys like Connor McDavid, guys like Ovechkin, guys like Sidney Crosby. Look at Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin's prices. Yeah. They're in the $1,500 for the PSA 10s. Now, obviously, Austin Matthews has to do his part. He has to continue to play well. He has to be healthy. And he has to win a cup. I think that is very important because Ovi won a cup. Obviously, Sidney Crosby's won multiple cups. But I think that Austin Matthews, if he can continue to just be a beast, he's going to have a 100-point season. Like, it's going to happen. It was probably going to happen this year, but it got cut short, obviously. And I'm very high on Austin Matthews. And an aspect that probably not a lot of people thought about, but I kind of thought because I'm an American, is that he could go down, obviously this is super long term, he could go down as the best American hockey player ever. Yep. When it's all said and done. Not saying he's by any means close, but he's won a Calder, obviously already. Yeah. The fact that he scored 4 goals in his first game is astounding to me. He's just been that good since that point too. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just very high on Matthews. I wouldn't have spent as much money on that card as I did if I wasn't. So
no, I definitely agree. I know that a lot of fans were actually quite upset that he didn't end up getting to wear the C. But regardless, I believe he's one of the only guys to start his career. Correct me if I'm wrong here too, but I'm pretty sure it was 4 straight 30-goal seasons, which nowadays it seems like 30 goals is kind of like that plateau that you shoot for. Obviously, goals is, Ovi standards, but Austin Matthews at the end of the day has one of the best shots in the NHL, plays in a huge market, and
absolutely.
John Tavares he's a stud. Obviously, but I feel like when you ask most people in Toronto or even in Canada in general, who's your Leaf? 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hear he's just that good. And like you said, from day one, he came in and scored 4 goals in his NHL debut.
And he's young. He's young. Yes, but he's one thing I talk about on my channel all the time, and when I'm trying to decide who's a good investment, how swaggy are they? How much hype do they have built into them, not only on the ice or on the court or on the field, but how much hype do they have behind them off the court or off the ice? And let me tell you, Austin Matthews off ice is just, he looks like the type of guy that you want to root for. He's swaggy as hell. He's always wearing Supreme and just a lot of hype built around him, and he backs it up on the ice too. So I don't know. Obviously, if you're not a Leafs fan, I understand why you would not like rooting for him, but you got to respect his game.
For sure. And I mean, it doesn't seem like the curse of the NHL cover got to him at all. I feel like PK Subban a bit.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's getting to him, so definitely a great pick. Sticking theme, I guess, with at least the same Eastern Conference. I like Brayden Point. Point, to me, $20 raw Canadian is what you can get his young gun for. And I know he's not necessarily a household name, but for the last 2 to 3, you could stretch it into 4 years if you really wanted to, but at least the last couple years, Brayden Point and the Tampa Bay Lightning, they've both been, outstanding player and standing team. Brayden Point is slowly but surely starting to, become a point per game player in the NHL. And we were actually talking previously before we actually started hitting record, and we're both fans of guys who score gritty goals.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Shout out Keith Tkachuk.
Yeah, for sure, right? But Brayden Point's a type of player who kind of sticks himself in front of the net, scores those gritty goals, and Tampa is year after year a great team.
So good.
The offensive firepower that they have, like he's just going to, if he's not putting the puck in the net, he's going to benefit in terms of assist. So Brayden Point, his cards are pretty cheap. Like this $20 card, in my opinion, when you compare him to other $20 cards, like there's no reason why he should be $20.
Right.
So I feel like for the price point, and especially for Tampa is eventually, hopefully, I'm just tired of seeing them getting swept in the first round. But,
I can't believe they haven't won a cup yet with that lineup.
For sure.
They're on paper. I mean, Kucherov is what can you say about that guy? That guy's insane. But
Stamkos, right? And I mean, Stamkos was the guy.
Stammer.
I actually was debating for a little bit, do I put him on this list? And I mean, his prices are still high, but relatively speaking, I mean, like you could even argue that they should be higher. And
right.
Like the whole market, and that's really important too, that I did want to mention. I feel like the entire market is still severely undervalued. Like I feel like the NHL still has an entire market that's yet.
It's insane. If you compare some of the stars from basketball to, and I know that hockey is not as popular as basketball, and I don't think it ever really will be in America. But if you compare it, there's just a huge price discrepancy. Yeah. I'm talking about like guys that are on the same level skill-wise in their respective sports. Just the difference between PSA 10 prices is incredible. Like you guys can do research. It's insane. But yeah, I agree. I think that even if you're not necessarily a hockey fan, you can do your research, sit down 3 hours a night for a week, do your research, watch some hype videos, pick guys that you're popular, or go out, watch YouTube videos. You're already at this point. So you're already making the first step, but go out, do your research and invest in guys that you like. And I think as the sports card world just grows, it's going to naturally pull up some of the less popular sports like hockey, and then I think soccer is also an untapped market, which but that's another video. That's a different video entirely.
Right,
so yeah.
Who's next on Les Alex's list?
Yeah, so we have a guy that he's in another good situation. It's Nathan MacKinnon. He's an all-star. He's a Calder winner. Obviously, he was going to crack 100 points this season. He was at 93 before the suspension of play in 69 games. And, I mean, he was going to crack 100 points. He was going to crack it, but obviously that's not going to happen now. And that's one thing, too, I always say on my channel, for investing in hockey, you want to invest in the Canadian teams. Yeah. Typically, just because their fan bases are so much deeper. It's much more regional in America. But we have seen when the Avalanche are good, they show that that city, that state shows up for their team. And, you know, he could end up being like, I mean, Joe Sakic was beloved by the city of Denver. So I could see, you know, if they win a cup, man, his prices could go insane. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, over the last couple of years, you could even make the case that he's a top 3 player in the NHL. I personally think he is. And again, at least in my opinion, and I know that I did mention the offensive firepower of the Lightning, but in my opinion, the number 1 line in the NHL, and even, you know, if you could even put the Leafs in there, but ultimately the Avalanche, that's a pretty tough line with Mikko Rantanen as well, and Gabriel Landeskog is another one. So they just got so much offensive firepower, and MacKinnon is just, he's a stud. Like, I don't know how else you put it.
Yeah.
You know, hometown is Sidney Crosby, so whatever they're drinking there, in terms of water or whatever they're drinking, it's working, because Nathan MacKinnon and Sidney Crosby, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, man. I definitely think it just takes 1 cup too. That's a big thing, though, you know, especially in hockey. You can say in basketball, baseball, not so much, but in hockey, you definitely need to get that cup win to really solidify your legacy.
For sure. Now,
what about you?
Yeah, one guy who might not win a cup ever. We'll see. I mean, he's on a pretty good team, but I got Matt Tkachuk for my 3rd pick. Raw $15 Canadian. You can get this like all day. Again, I feel like that's pretty undervalued. And he's obviously got the hockey genetics. Like, look at the family of the Tkachuks. Those are gritty players. And I mean, obviously, if you're from Edmonton, and if you're an Oilers fan, you're probably not going to be a big fan of Matt Tkachuk, to say the least. But with that being said, you know, if we do eventually see a Calgary versus Edmonton matchup, that would be crazy. And I'm not saying it's going to happen this year or even next year or anytime soon, but look at Matt Tkachuk's numbers. He's definitely there. And kind of to go on the opposite end of the argument, you don't necessarily need to love the player. Do I love Matt Tkachuk? Not really, but I mean, I'm such a fan of his skill set. I feel like Calgary's a team who's so close from eventually popping off, at least making, you know, a Western Conference final. They have the ability, is what I'm saying. Is it going to happen? Maybe not. But again, raw $15, so you can get that $15 Canadian. You can get that all day. You know? If whatever your budget is, you can get 5, 10, 15 of them, and
right.
Do pretty well.
And that's one thing too. And I know you guys preach it on your channel. I also preach it. You don't have to make, you know, $400 into $1,000. You can make $15 into $30. It's still, you're doubling your money. You know, that's the thing. I think a huge misconception about, you know, newer people coming into the hobby is you don't have to have a huge budget to be a sports card investor. You know, you don't have to go after the PSA 10s. You can go after the raw cards, pick them up while they're $15, see them double their price, and then get out if you want. You know, you can make little, small, short-term flips if that's how you want to play it, if that's what your budget allows. That's just one of the biggest questions. One of the most frequent questions is like, you know, I don't have a big budget, but like, what do I spend my first $100 on? I only have $100 to work with. It's like, well, depending upon what sports you like, if it's hockey, you know, I think obviously that's a great pick. Yeah. Tkachuk, Point, both are just great budget picks. So I don't know. That's not to go too much on a tangent, but
yeah, I mean, my last 2 picks are less, let's say, budget picks. Maybe the one is a budget pick. But regardless, we'll save those for later. You're up next.
Right on. So I had to throw a homer pick. Obviously, y'all see it. I'm rocking the Tarasenko jersey. Obviously, he's injured, so it's not going to be Tarasenko. But Jordan Binnington. Binnington Winnington, Binner, whatever you want to call him. Do I look nervous? Well, there's your answer. That is my guy. Everybody in St. Louis loves him. Yeah, I just said, and I'm kind of contradicting myself right here. I just said invest in Canadian teams, players. Let me tell you, though, the city of St. Louis adores Jordan Binnington. Obviously, finally brought a cup to St. Louis for the first time ever. It's like 52 years, 51 years or something like that. I do not think it would have been possible without him. I really don't. Jake Allen's a great goalie, but obviously Binnington had an insane season last year. And think about it. If in his rookie season and his sophomore season, he wins back-to-back cups, I don't know. Maybe you could tell me, has that ever happened before? Maybe it has. I mean, hockey has a very, historic.
I think that it happened once, but I can't come up with anyone on the top of my head.
Right. So chat, fact check me, leave it in the comment section. But his numbers aren't nearly as good as they were last season. I do realize that his save percentage is down. His goals against average is up. It's almost actually doubled, but he still performed very well. And the city of St. Louis adores him. Trust me when I say that. And I know everybody says St. Louis is a baseball town, which, yes, we love our Cardinals, but we adore the Blues. I remember back in the day, the Blues were thinking about moving, and the fans were like, nah, bro, you got to sell the team. And they basically sold it to a guy who's local to St. Louis. So just to make sure that they didn't sell or move, rather. So Jordan Binnington, I know that was a long-winded explanation, but his cards, though, aren't cheap. They're in like the $60 mark for Raws. But I mean, look at the price of other excellent goalies. Like, I don't think we can compare him quite yet to like Waugh or Brodeur yet. But I mean, if he bangs out back-to-back cup wins, he's gonna be in that status, I think.
Well, I mean, even a guy like Igor Shesterkin, and I mean, he's played less than 20 starts right now in the NHL, and his Young Gun raw ungraded card is about $120 Canadian.
Wow.
So you compare that, and I mean, obviously the window on how Igor has been, obviously he's been absolute stud, and I'm hoping he leads us to the promised land, with the Rangers. But even if he doesn't, like, it's kind of interesting to see Binnington, who's already got a cup, like 1 out of 1, right?
One out of 1. You don't get you don't get better than 1,000 batting average, baby.
Exactly. So, Jordan Binnington, like you said, pretty big market in St. Louis, I would argue as well. Obviously, the Blues are playing great hockey, and at the end of the day, your best defense starts with your goaltender. So, yes. I definitely agree. Great pick.
Yeah. So yeah, Jordan Binnington's going to be my number 4. Number 4 pick.
Number 4. My number 4. I guess we've kind of bounced it to the Western Conference. This is a guy who I've spoken about quite a bit.
Yeah, buddy.
It pains me to say where he went to college, just because I'm a big Buckeye fan. But regardless, Wolverine, he was an absolute stud. He continues to find the back of the net. And the Winnipeg Jets, if they can get by Calgary in that original, play-in series, let's call it.
Yeah.
The Jets are looking good. They got Scheifele, they got Wheeler, they got all these different veterans, and then of course Kyle Connor. Like, he's just continuing to put up goals, continuing to hit the 30 mark plateau. Like I already alluded to, is kind of that place you want to get to. And I mean, again, a Canadian team. Canadians definitely want to see Winnipeg win a cup, the True North, as they call it. And he's a big part of that.
True North.
And this card, raw, is a bit more. It's about $28 to $30 Canadian, at least at the time of this video. I guess you could still consider it budget, maybe not. If you can, try to get it say 10 type of thing. But at the end of the day, Kyle Connor, I like the kid. Like, he finds the back of the net, and if he can continue to find the back of the net in the playoffs, you're going to see that card price jump. Do I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to win a cup this year? No, I don't. But with Line A, and if Line A gets better, if Wheeler gets better, if everyone gets better, and even Hellebuck, eventually they could potentially win a cup. So I feel like for the price, for playoffs, for the hype of playoffs, buy Kyle Connor. That's honestly one of my top investing opportunities at this moment.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. He was going to eclipse 40 goals for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, unless he went ice cold. They had 9 games left, and he get hit 38. So he's probably going to hit. If you're under that assumption, you're probably also assuming he's going to hit 80 points if they would have played the entire season. So, those are two, pretty big benchmarks. I know you want to see 100 points for your like high caliber guys, but still 40 and 80 would have been beautiful to see on that stat sheet. So yeah, I like Kyle Connor. I have I think 1 or 2, but yeah, no, I definitely agree with that pick. So
and your 5th final pick here.
Yeah, number 5 or number 1, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah, it's none other than Connor McDavid. He's the best in the league right now, in my opinion. Yeah, what hasn't this guy done? He's pretty much done everything already, except for win a cup, obviously. Edmonton is an up-and-coming team, obviously, but I just think if he can deliver a cup, it'd be the first time since I think the 91 season, 89, 91. I don't know. It was Mark Messier. It was the season after, I believe, that the great one left. Wayne Gretzky left. So, Mark Messier obviously was a captain of that team. And, if and when McDavid, his prices are going to skyrocket, guys. His PSA 10s right now are around 700. I understand that's a lot of money. And I personally, full transparency, do not own any of him. They are very expensive, much out of my budget. But his raws, I think, are right around 4. And you can see, and I don't like to predict exact price points of cards that are jumping, but for the sake of this argument, I'm going to. You can see his prices bounce up to like 1K, maybe even like 12, 13 American. And because that's right around the same price as, again, guys like Ovi, guys like Sidney Crosby. Well, there aren't guys like them, but those two. But that's a big thing. I've been saying it almost all video. You got to win a cup. He's got the All-Star appearances. He's already won the Hart Trophy. He's already won Pearson multiple times and Ross. So one year he won all 3 of them in the same season, which is crazy. But yeah, man, Connor McDavid, obviously kind of a high roller pick, but I think that if you have the money, and if you're buying these raw on the internet, please be careful. I always preach it on my channel. Make sure the centering is as good as you can through a picture. And that's one thing too. You can actually message the sellers. You can message them and say, hey, could you send multiple pictures, different angles, pictures of the corners, make sure it's good. Can you send me a picture where, it's kind of angled so I can see the surface of the card and make sure there's no dents or dings actually on the surface. That's one thing you can do. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but you can. And good sellers will send you pictures because at the end of the day, they're trying to sell the card. Selling cards is a lot harder than buying cards, let me tell you. So yeah, it's Connor McDavid.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt, I do agree. Now, mind you, if you asked me about 3-4 years ago, I would still say the best player was Sidney Crosby, but now 1,000,000% in my mind, it's Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
We always, like, this whole video, we were kind of alluding to reaching, 30-goal plateau, 50-goal plateau, and even 100-point. And that's something that Connor McDavid does in his sleep with with a wrong-handed stick.
Yeah,
He's literally like a grown man playing with boys, but he's still less than 25 years old, and most beloved thing in all
23.
Yeah, right. And it's like I don't even think he can leave his house without paparazzi everywhere. Saw an awesome interview with he and the Great One, and it seems like the Great One, being Wayne Gretzky, is kind of taking him under his wing, and
that's a good guy to have in your corner.
For sure. And it's like, will he ever break the goal record? I don't know. I mean, it's becoming more and more difficult to score. But regardless, he is going to win a cup. It's almost inevitable. And I feel more confident saying that Connor McDavid will win a cup before Mike Trout will win a World Series. I truly
hot takes here on Red Cape Sports.
But Connor McDavid is just such a good buy. And like you said, when you compare him to Ovi's prices, when you compare him to Sid the Kid, $700 is it's a pretty good price point right now, and it's definitely going to go up. Speaking of graded cards, there, just going to get my fifth final pick. You could call this a homer pick, but I'm going to put it out here. Artemi Panarin. This is just a PS9. Just waiting actually on my PS9 to come in the mail. I do have one, so full transparency for that. And again, I'm not just saying buy these because I want the prices to go up. You don't have to buy any of them. I have them, right? Like I purchased all a while ago. But the reason why I said why, obviously I'm a Rangers fan, but Artemi Panarin, if you look at how the Rangers have struggled over the last couple of years, and then if you look at this year and see how great of hockey that they have played since the moment Artemi Panarin stepped into New York, he has been absolutely incredible. And I mean, even his assists, correct me if I'm wrong, he was like top 2, top 3 in assists.
That's 63 assists this season in only 69 games played.
Yeah, so he's literally making everyone around him better. Pavel Buchnevich saw a rise in goals. Even like guys like Chris Kreider, obviously Mika Zibanejad, and that is going to be a scary lineup. And I look at the first round of playoffs. Okay, Carolina's a great team. Don't get me wrong; they're a bunch of jerks. Shout out to you, Don Cherry, but Carolina, if you look historically speaking, maybe do it after this video, but I want everyone to look up Henrik Lundqvist's career stats against Carolina, and they'll blow your mind. Look up the Rangers' stats against Carolina over the last 5 years, and we've simply put, we've dominated them. And I feel like because we've had such a long pause, it's going to be a skill series. Maybe the best team won't win, but the more skilled team. And Artemi Panarin he's hungry for a cup. And I mean, single-handedly almost last season, he helped sweep the best team in the NHL in Tampa Bay. So I feel like Shesterkin's playing well in that too. Artemi Panarin, I mean, what is it? Yeah, raw $30 all day, like Canadian.
Yeah, they were even cheaper about a month ago. You could get them for about
15.
I don't know, 18 to 24 ish. Is like the price, American. But yeah, they definitely started going up. I think we were talking about it right around that time. And yeah, I don't think I actually ordered any. I always try, and sometimes to a fault, maybe this is a word of warning to people. If you have like a decent price, you made an offer, or get an offer when selling too. It goes both ways. Don't be afraid to take like a little bit less, or when buying, pay slightly a little bit more than what you're comfortable, because that's the thing, is like a good negotiation leaves both sides feeling a little uncomfortable. So but basically what I'm saying is, on the Panarins, I couldn't get it for what I wanted to, and now it's like much more expensive than what I wanted to pay, and I'm like kicking myself that
it's going to go up in value.
I know, but
see that New York is such a big market, and
yeah,
he is too. We still don't know who won the Hart, and I'm not saying he's going to win it. But if you look at his 5-on-5 numbers, if you look at him being, top 3 in assists, the goals maybe weren't quite there, but he just helped a team who everyone thought would finish, bottom 2. And it would have really been interesting had the entire season played out, because the Rangers were playing some great hockey. And again, it's tough for me to say this, being a Rangers fan and wearing the Rangers sweater, but
gotta have your homer picks, bro.
But it's not even that. It's like one could assume that they maybe potentially could have made the actual playoffs.
Right.
Played.
Yeah, they were on fire.
We'll see about it, and I'm telling you, Artemi Panarin is going to put up some points. Absolutely. I'm interested, actually, and I probably should have done it before this video, so shame on me, but I'm interested to see his career points against the Hurricanes, because I know that there was a game this year where he put up, I think, 4 points against them. So regardless, if he doesn't get the points or the goals, he'll help Mika get the goals, and he's a good pick.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. Yeah, and how upset? I gotta ask though, how upset are you that he's in a Blackhawks jersey in that pick? In that, it's just, to me, whenever I'm picking up like for PC for like Blues players, and they're not like, so Ryan O'Reilly. I love Ryan O'Reilly. Shout out, roar, but he's wearing that stupid Avalanche jersey. Not that it's stupid. I love that jersey. Actually, it's one of my favorite as a kid. I loved the Avalanche jersey, but like, he's not wearing a Blues jersey. It's like, it always got to me.
I got to be honest with you. And if you look closely, this is what upsets me more. The fact that there's a stupid Islander in the card. That's what upsets me more than the fact that there's a Chicago Blackhawks. I can't stand the Islanders. There's nothing better than beating the Islanders in their own barn, as we call it. That would be an incredible playoff matchup. We'll see whether or not that happens. But anyways, guys, that's basically the video. My top 5 young guns. Alex had some incredible picks there as well, and the reasoning, research, the logic behind his picks are incredible. If you guys haven't already done so, pause the video, go subscribe to Alex. Alex is like a real OG. I want to say like one of the first 15 people to support the channel. That includes my mom. So shout out to you, Mom. Hopefully you're watching. But she's probably shopping at HomeSense or something.
Nice. But yeah, everybody, if I could just say like a little bit about my channel. Yeah, check me out. I'm doing videos every single day about sports and sports cards. I've been doing a lot of hockey breaks, and when this debuts, I'll hopefully have a hockey video ready so you guys can go from this video and go check me out. But I'm doing videos every single day, so go check me out. My channel's been growing, and it's been awesome. I'm gonna catch up to Red Cape here in a couple of weeks. No, I'm kidding, but
the channel, bro. He's trying to be humble, but he's going to surpass us. Mitch and I are going to try not to let it happen, but it's going to be a wild race.